Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here, this time reviewing on The Mighty Thor, issue 324. Now, as you know, for a time, Thor originally had a human form known as Donald Blake, and his series was pretty much him dealing with the life of a mortal as well as being the god. And the cover you have is Thor transferring back to Donald Blake while plummeting to his death. And let's get on the story. It starts off how Thor is working out at the Avengers gym and says, "I know not why, Wasp, but after our Avengers meeting, this always relaxes me." And so afterwards she points out that she wants to see Donald Blake and pretty much says, "Done. You see? Nothing to it." And it's kind of revealed that Wasp is now aware of who Donald Blake is from the Avengers issue 220. And pretty much they decide to go out for a drink and that and talk. Meanwhile, in somewhere else, the ground starts shaking into a vortex and pretty much reveals that the villain Graviton is now free, saying, where can it be? Yes, after trying to free myself, I've done it." And so he finds so he decides to, go find the woman that he once admired. And meanwhile, Wasp and Donald Blake are talking all through the night, and even Wasp recognizes the time. And Donald Blake says, "Nonsense, Janet. What's a fellow Avenger for?" And so Graviton enters into the apartment of a man and woman and says, "Yes, Judy Parks, me, Graviton, Lord of the Element Force, but we heard you were dead." And he points out that, that he likes that way, and they point out that he's got it all wrong, that the experiments that happened to him drove him insane, and decided to travel against the Avengers. And Graviton points out about what happened to him, but it turns out that Julie is now pregnant, and Graviton leaves. And pretty much she says that, we'll never be free from him, so her husband decides to call the police, and Graviton decides to try and find a woman for him. And one of the bartenders who don't seem to recognize him points out about, saying, "That's easy, pal. You just gotta hang out where they can buy all them fancy clothes." And pretty much he says, "Julie is right. A man with my gifts could attract many women he wants." So pretty much the next day, Fall turns into Fall, and him and Wasp go their separate ways, where Graviton enters a shopping mall and pretty much levels it up into the sky and heads to where the kind of device is and says that he's looking for a female bride. And pretty much Fall sees what's going on and goes in to investigate, saying, by all the gods of Asgard, this madness indeed. Everything is in the store is weightless." And even Thor feels it as well, and he even asks one of the shop owners how long what's been happening, and Thor goes in to investigate, where he has to deal with Graviton, who pretty much points out that if he does take him out, he could cause the mall to fall and killing everyone. And Thor says, "He is right. I must be more careful about how I..." And so he ends up throwing him up into the wall and even throws him outside, and he tries to corner his hammer Mjolnir, but ends up with him turning back to Donald Blake and nearly falling to his death. But thankfully, due to Donald Blake's quick thinking, he turns back into Thor and then goes back to becoming Donald Blake, where he heads into a pharmacy for finding the right things. And just as Graviton's about to call for a bride, him and Thor duke it out again, and Thor pretty much uses a syringe with a sedative and so, and pretty much has him forcibly bringing down the shopping mall back on ground. And after this one of the women point out saying, "Hey, Mr. Goldilocks, what if he hasn't come to his senses and set this building gently rather than letting it all fall?" And that. So Thor points out that he does have another sedative in case if Graviton does do another thing. So pretty much he flies off with Graviton, and after this leaves him in a dark dimension and pretty much leaves off to go back to Chicago. And yeah, this is the story. I feel the story is not bad. I feel you could have had the other Avengers being called into action. I kind of feel there could be more time with the woman Graviton was after, but again, it's a basic story, so it deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.